What is up, all of my horror fanatics out there? Welcome back to Late Night Frights. I'm the Late Night Frights horror leader, the Jay Sloan or Jordan, back here to do another video for you. And as always, guys, I want to thank everyone for tuning in this evening. Last week we did a theme, and we actually did our St. Patrick's Day for 2015, our Leprechaun theme, where each of us reviewed a film from the Leprechaun franchise. And it was a great theme overall, a great week. Everyone made their videos, so if you haven't checked it out yet, please go do so. So seeing as last week was a theme, or we did a theme, this week we are doing horror battles. And the two films that I chose to battle for you are both cheesy horror comedies. One takes itself a little more seriously than the other, but neither film really goes to that place to make you scared or make you think it's really serious or this could actually happen. They're just fun flicks, monster movies, I guess you could say, horror comedies, creature features, whatever you want to categorize them in. And the first one here is from 1987, and it is Monster Squad versus a film from 1997, and it is The Creeps. Okay, so you guys know how we do things here on Late Night Frights. First, I'm going to be reviewing both films very briefly, and then I will battle them to the death. So I'm going to start off by reviewing The Monster Squad, which was made in 1987. This one is directed by Fred Decker, who also directed another classic, and that is Night of the Creeps, among other films that I'm not familiar with. I know he wrote the story for House, but I believe that film was directed by Steve Miner, but nonetheless, he did write the story for House. So yeah, The Monster Squad is starring Andre Gower, Duncan Rager, and Stephen Mott, among other actors. And every actor within this film did a good job, whether it be the child actors or the adult actors portraying the monsters. So I'm going to dive into the plot without spoiling too much, and give you guys my plot review, and then my overall review of the film and everything within it, and then my rating at the end. So The Monster Squad basically follows this group of kids who have a monster squad. They love monsters. They love just sitting around talking about monsters. They're younger children. They still, they love horror films, which, we all here on Late Night Frights would have something in common with them. We are the horror squad. They are the monster squad. They just know everything there is to know about monsters. And, some of them would, one of their biggest dream, come true, I would guess, is if monsters came to life. They think that would be really cool until it actually happens. So we see in the beginning of this film Dracula beat Van Helsing and go into some type of time warp, a different time period, coming into present time with these children. He also brings back the Wolfman. He brings back Frankenstein's monster, the creature from the Black Lagoon. He brings back the mummy, and I believe that is the monsters that he brings back with him, and wreaks havoc on this town. And I believe he's trying to find Van Helsing's little notebook, his instruction manual, which he's sent to one of the children in the Monster Squad, actually the leader of the Monster Squad. So he's trying to find it, and it's a battle between these kids and between the monsters, and they have to stop the monsters from completely conquering their town and taking over. And that is the basic plot around this film, without going too deep into it and spoiling anything else. It's a very easy film, I guess I should say, to give spoilers away on, because the plot's not too, it's not an intricate plot to where it's very enjoyable and very fun, but you can kind of say too much very easily about the film. Great movie, though. I really do enjoy it. I thought the effects were good. I'm not sure of the budget on the film, but I really did enjoy the effects, and I really like the actors. Like I said, both children and monsters. I really like how they portrayed Frankenstein's monster within this film. Being kind of like a good guy. He's not really on the bad side of the team, and I thought that was cool. Every one of the child actors did a great job with what they were given, whether they were the weaker character who rose to the top and rose to the occasion to defeat one of the monsters, or they were a stronger character who proved they were even stronger. There's one really badass kid, I guess you could say, in this film. Wears a leather jacket, uses a bow. I can't think of his name, but he was pretty cool. He was an older kid, whereas the Monster Squad was a lot of younger kids, but he joined anyway. Everybody did good. The guy who played the father, the mother, I believe Stephen Mott actually played the father. I've seen the mother in other films, although I can't think of her name. Really quotable film, too. Some of the lines in this stick. I love the Wolfman's got nards line when the Wolfman's chasing after the kids within the mansion, or whatever you want to call it, the house. It came to a very good conclusion, beginning, middle, and end. Very interested in the film, the story, the acting. The effects were good. I'm not sure the budget, like I said, but a very enjoyable film, The Monster Squad, a classic 80s cheese, I guess you could say, very cheesy. It's not to be taken too seriously. It's a fun flick, guys. Put it in, watch it, enjoy it. It's not one you're going to be racking your brain to think about what happened. It's in your face as expected. The title is Monster Squad, or The Monster Squad, so you would know that. Really, really nice edition, too. This is, let's see where this edition, I guess it's a Paramount release, all the films release. But I like this cover art, really good. As far as special features, there are not too many at all, so that kind of downgrades the edition. But the cover art's really nice, really cool to own on Blu-ray. Really good film. So definitely check out The Monster Squad if you haven't. My overall rating, if I'm going out of 5, I'm gonna go 3.9 out of 5. Really enjoyed it. Good film. Getting tongue-tied. Classic monster film, and just really good. They blended the two, the monsters and the children, together, and had a really cool idea for this one. So yeah, definitely check out The Monster Squad. Okay, now that I've reviewed The Monster Squad, I'm going to go ahead and review The Creeps, which was made in 1997, which is actually the year I was born. There's some good movies that came out in 1997 and some really shitty movies. This is one that I've always loved. It stuck with me ever since I was a kid. I grew up on it, and I've always just found some enjoyment out of it, which we'll talk a little bit about as I go further into the review. So The Creeps, like I said, 1997, directed by Charles Band, who has directed a lot of horror films. Some good, some not so good, some I've never liked. But I do like quite a few of them, and this is one of them that I do. So The Creeps pretty much is about this mad scientist, I guess you could call him. That's basically what he is. And he wants to bring to life all of the classic, or most of the classic, Universal monsters. He wants to bring to life Dracula, the Wolfman, the Mummy, and Frankenstein's monster. And to do this, he needs to steal all of the original manuscripts of the stories. So he goes to this library and he steals the manuscripts, and the librarian, the girl working at the library, actually finds out that he has replaced the manuscripts with blank paper, and she hires a private investigator to hunt this guy down and figure out what he's doing. Well, the guy doesn't go fast enough, and Mad Scientist needs one last piece of the puzzle, and that is Dracula's manuscript. And he goes back to the same library, and the girl sees him. She holds him, pretty much not letting him leave. She knows he's going to steal the manuscript, and he ends up leaving and taking her with him, and says that he needs, I believe, a virgin to complete the process. A virgin from 20 to 35, I could be wrong, but he says he needs a virgin to complete the process and bring all these monsters back to life. And the monsters come to life, and he doesn't have his virgin. She escapes. Which, honestly, she doesn't really look like much of a virgin, so I don't know why he just takes her without really asking if she's a virgin. She doesn't really look like one. But she escapes, leaving the monsters coming to life, but they only come back halfway. They come back, they're like little bitty people. They're like, 3 foot tall. Sorry. But they're like 3 feet tall, and they're not complete, and they have to find the virgin so that they can become full grown and actually take over. And that's the plot of this film without going any further into it. It's very wacky, very fun, and very entertaining. I enjoyed the movie for what it was. It had parts that it's really laughable, to be honest with you. It's not a serious horror movie, and The Monster Squad really isn't either. The Monster Squad for me had a more of a serious tone than The Creeps, really. Both are cheesy horror films. This one's just a 90s cheesy horror film, and The Monster Squad was 87. So they actually came out, this came out in 97, The Monster Squad in 87. But I enjoy it. I enjoy the actors. I like the actors who played the little monsters. They did okay. The lead protagonist, I guess you could say, the librarian, she did okay. The Mad Scientist was pretty good. It was interesting. It wasn't fantastic. It's not one that everybody's going to like, but for the budget, it's a good cheesy horror film. For the budget, they did good with the effects, making the little monsters, and with what they had. Look at the cover. And it's a Charles Band film, and he does a lot of low-budget films, and a lot of them turn out good, some of them don't, and this is one that I've always enjoyed. I remember first picking this up at a video store that was closing down, and I actually still have the VHS tape of this film over there. That's when VHS tapes were in style. Out of style now, have been for years, but still have a lot of VHS tapes, and that's one of them because I bought that from the video store that was closing down. They were selling all their tapes, and this is one that I bought, and it's one that I watched when I was a kid. Effects are good, directing's good, acting's okay, story's entertaining, nothing to be taken seriously. Give The Creeps a watch. You might not like it, but it's definitely worth a viewing. Out of 5, I'm going to go 2.9 out of 5. Enjoy it, but it's not fantastic by any means. So, now that I've reviewed both films, it is time to battle them to the death. So I'm going to start with round 1. Round 1 is acting and directing. Which film do I think had better acting and better directing overall? And as much as I enjoy The Creeps, grew up on it, I do believe that the Monster Squad had better acting and directing overall. The directing by Fred Decker, who's done a lot of good films, written the story to a lot of good films. Like I said, he wrote House. He also directed Night of the Creeps, which is another classic that I enjoy. The acting by the child actors, they did a really good job, and the monsters included. So, round 1 goes to the Monster Squad. Round 2, blood, guts, and gore, and effects. Now, neither film really focused on blood, guts, and gore. It wasn't a slasher film, but on effects-wise, on the monsters, let's see, effects-wise with the monsters. It was really cool seeing the little people in the Creeps, play these Universal monsters, but with effects-wise, both of it, though, guys, the budget wasn't extremely high with either film. It's really difficult to say because neither film, I mean, they weren't, grade A, they didn't have millions and millions of dollars to spend on either film. I'm going to have to say the Monster Squad. Once again, the Monster Squad, I think the effects were better in this film. With each monster, mummy, Dracula, the werewolf, or the Wolfman. I have a tendency when I talk about werewolf movies, just say werewolf, Wolfman, and Frankenstein's monster were good and better, and yeah, I'll have to say the Monster Squad, and the creature also, even though it was just a gigantic bodysuit, it was still okay compared to the Creeps, and neither film, it's really close though, guys. I mean, these are on the same edge here. I would say the budget was higher in the Monster Squad, although I could be wrong. It could be higher in the Creeps, but both of them were decent effects for the money that they had. But me personally, I'm going to go with the Monster Squad. So the Monster Squad takes round 2. Round 3, personal enjoyment and replayability. Which film do I personally enjoy more, and which film would I pop in right now? I really enjoy the Monster Squad a lot, but simply due to nostalgia reasons, I'm going to give this round to the Creeps. Because I have personally enjoyed this all of my life, the Monster Squad. I have seen, but not quite as much as the Creeps. So I'm giving round 3 to the Creeps. Okay, round 4, story and originality. Which film do I think had a better story and was overall more original? Now, I'm going to give this, guys, thought about it. The Creeps, I really enjoyed. I think it's a decent story, not fantastic, but very entertaining. I'm going to give the 4th round to the Monster Squad. I think the story was more intriguing. It was more original. I've never seen kids battle monsters, and this kind of like a parallel to each other. It was really cool to see. And it's a very unique concept, and the Monster Squad takes round 4, and I don't think we should go any further because it's pretty clear the Monster Squad has defeated the Creeps. As much as I love this film, I had to defeat it. I like the Monster Squad better. Not saying the Creeps is a bad film, I'm just saying that overall I prefer the Monster Squad better than the Creeps. So Monster Squad has won. It has, came out victorious. It's came out on top of this battle. It has taken the cake, and yeah, the Monster Squad is the winner. So I want to thank you guys so much for watching. That is my battle over the Monster Squad and the Creeps, with the Monster Squad coming out on top. Please comment down below and tell me which film would win in your battle. Which film do you prefer? I'm really curious to hear everyone's thoughts and opinions on both of these films. Stay tuned, guys. Tomorrow, Chris Brock will be battling 2 films of his choice, and that will continue throughout the week with all of our members. I'm the Jay Sloan. You just watched Late Night Frights. Comment, subscribe, and as always, guys, keep it horror.